Hey everyone, it's Terry with Terry's Tidbits. We have kicked off another round of the Admin Study Group, and I've got a group of 8 people who have decided to join on this particular series. And so I'm so excited for them to be studying together and getting to know each other and working toward getting their admin certification. We want to invite you to follow along with the videos. If you are studying for your certification, study right along with us and watch the videos, learn as we're learning, and get your certifications. It's a fantastic, can be sometimes life-changing certification. Be able to get that and watch how your Salesforce journey will grow. In this particular video, we are hitting the company settings and user interface. Those are a part of the config and setup. That's 20% of the new exam. And so follow along on those topics. Hit the index down below in the descriptions if you need to skip around some. But I also wanted to give a special shout out to the Des Moines Area Community College. They are sponsoring this entire series this time around, and I'm so excited to be partnered with them. If you are looking for any form of education, any kind of, whether it's Salesforce or other topics, check them out. DMACC.edu, and you'll find all kinds of wonderful things there. Thank you so much to the folks at DMACC. They've been a fantastic partner. Let's jump into our videos. Hey everyone, it's Terry with Terry's Tidbits. I am so glad you're here. Company information. This is a part of the configuration setup. We're going to cover the topics of fiscal year, business hours, holidays, and the rest of those there as you see them listed. Some information here that's important to know is you're going to find the way that I've structured all my slides, and you don't have to do it the same way. It's completely up to you. But I've added up in the top the way you get to this in Salesforce. So you click on Setup, and you go to company information, and then this is going to be information that is relevant to that topic. So this is all company information, and I don't know why I didn't delete the instructions are along the side, but they're there. So what's important to know about the company information is it tracks important information about your company. That's the primary contact. This would be the person that Salesforce would reach out to anytime that they have an issue. Your demographic data, your organization edition. So that's whether you are on the enterprise edition, professional group, ultimate, I think is the other main edition that they have. It tracks your licenses and entitlements. So you'll see your user licenses, feature licenses, and entitlements are all a part on that screen. Your default time zone is set, as well as default language and currency. I would almost guarantee you're going to get a question on the exam about those. Having done the exam and having participated in writing the exam, I would just tell you that this is important to understand where those defaults are for your org. Newsletter and maintenance notifications are also set there on that company information screen. Fiscal year is under the setup fiscal year. And there's 3 different types of fiscal years that we can use. They impact the reports, dashboards, and your forecast. That's where they're leveraged. And your standard fiscal year follows the Gregorian calendar. I don't know if I say that right or not, but that just simply means that it starts January 1 through December. And you can control which month is the starting month. Your custom fiscal year is the one that gets into some really interesting stuff. And I would say in the 15 years that I've done Salesforce work, I've only ran into custom forecasting probably 3 times. So it's not used often, but it is one to be aware of, because it's possible you could see a question related to, can you set up a fiscal year that looks like X? And you're going to need to know whether or not that fits under the standard model, or if that is going to require you to be a custom fiscal year. Custom fiscal year, once you turn it on, you cannot turn it off. Those are types of items that are good to remember, because sometimes Salesforce will ask questions like that on exams of can it be turned back off if it's turned on? In this case, it's no. So here's an example. We have 4 quarters per year, and there's 13 weeks per quarter. So when you look at a calendar, the Gregorian is also 4 quarters, but it isn't 13 weeks. Your calendar could start on a Monday, end on, the first is a Monday. The last day of the month is a Wednesday, which is the 31st. This model is based off of weeks. So it's literally 13 weeks and then another 13 weeks and then 13 weeks after that. So the dates and the time in which those quarters start is very different. It's not something that fits into that standard model. Does that make sense? All right. Standard templates or manual setups are available to control that. The reason this is handy to set is so that when you're running your reports and your dashboards, you have the ability to set those so that you can run them based off of the current year or your fiscal year. So it simplifies your ability to structure reports. Make sense? All right, business hours. Specify the hours when your support team is available to serve others. So this is going to be specific to cases. So think Service Cloud or help desk type items. It would be where this one would apply. It helps to make your department processes such as escalation rules, milestones more accurate. So if you're not familiar with escalation rules, we'll touch on that later. One of you will have that topic. But an escalation rule, in essence, takes that case and it escalates it to a new level. Maybe it's a service level agreement that we have that says, hey, we have to respond within 5 days or 24 hours. And if we don't, it gets escalated up. Well, if our business hours aren't defined, we could be escalating something up over the weekend when we're technically closed. Okay, so that's how that would play in. So they are your business hours associated to escalation rules. You add business hours to the case page layout, so you can define what the business hours is for an individual case, and then it can also default to your company's default. Okay, so that means, just to kind of put it more practical, at a case level, you can determine what business hours. You can have multiple defined business hours. Maybe you have different divisions or different areas of the country that are all using the case object. And so by having multiple business hours defined, that allows you to have or define which one applies to a given case. Feel free to stop and ask questions if you're not understanding the topic. Similar to business hours, we have holidays. It works really almost identical to the business hours. If you plug in holidays, then your escalation rules will bypass those as well. Currency. Currency is a good one to understand. I'd almost guarantee you're going to see at least one question related to currency management. And it's implemented or it's enabled off of the company information page. It cannot be disabled. However, if you do enable it, you can set it back to just a single currency. So it acts as if it's disabled, but it's technically enabled. Currency ISO fields will be added to all of your objects, and that basically means a new field is going to appear on your page layouts. As soon as you enable this, you're going to see a currency field to allow you to define: is this U.S. dollars? Is it Canadian dollars, or whatever Canadian calls them? Your different currencies. For a single currency org, you just simply set your default currency. For multi-currency, you will have a corporate rate, a corporate currency that is used at your headquarters. All of your reports will default to that corporate currency. So when they're looking at revenue, it's all in their numbers. And then there'll be a conversion rate based off of based off of that company currency. This might be easier if I go in and show it to you, which I'll do here in a minute. And then you can set your own personal currency. So you have a corporate currency. Maybe I am in the US and my currency is set to US dollars, but in let's see, in Europe, it's the euro is their currency. So Robbie, if you were in France, you could have your personal currency set to euro. Anytime you look at a record that shows the dollars or amounts on it, it's going to convert that for you to see it in your currency. Your reports are also going to do the same thing. It's going to show the US dollars and the euro dollars on that report. Conversion rates get a little bit interesting, and there's two different types. You can have what they call a static exchange rate or advanced currency management. This is another one that I would almost guarantee you're going to see a question on the exam. So static rates basically mean that I'm plugging in a single value that handles the translation from US dollars to whatever the currency is. So US to euro, it's like 1.5 is the conversion rate, which basically means I have $1 in the US, it's going to be $1.50 or 1.5 euros. And it's a static number. It's awesome when you can use just a static range or rate, but it applies across all date spans. So everything is going to fall through that same conversion rate. With a advanced currency, you're able to put time frames around each of those conversion rates. So for this month, maybe the conversion rate is 1.5. For the previous month, maybe it was 1.53. It allows that time element to be associated to the conversion rates. Does that make sense? Okay. Multiple languages. Two language settings. You have your personal, so this is kind of similar to the currency. You have your personal language setting, as well as you have an organization language. Organization language might be set to English, but we might have French as a personal language. So if Robbie is sitting over in Europe, his language can be specific to him. Applies to all on-screen text, images, buttons, online help. I don't think it ever got to this level of detail on an exam as to what specifically converts, but it's probably not bad to know what the language is, what the translation workbench supports. Applies to all new users until they change their personal settings. So everybody starts off with the default, and they can change it. Determines the language in which customization, such as custom fields, tabs, and user interface options. Some setup items are manually entered by the admin, and that's done in what's called the translation workbench. So Salesforce knows about like an account object, some of the standard objects, they know how to translate those automatically. But with some of your custom things, you might have a field that it's like translation doesn't know at all what that means. So translation workbench allows you to go in and really, in essence, tell it, here's the words you need to use whenever you see this. Administrators can change the setting, which is the default setting. They can change that in company information. Here's your 3 levels of support: fully supported languages. Basically everything will convert: field labels, pick list, help, and setup pages. What that means is there are, Salesforce has a help page that shows you all of the languages that they support and at what level they support it. Some languages are more supported than others. So that's really what this is about. Fully supported does these items. User languages only converts the label, or labels are just field labels are converted, not pick lists. And then platform only, custom objects, fields, and labels are converted. Any questions on that? I'll watch my time here to make sure I'm not going too long here. Data protection and privacy gives access to data protection privacy details on the lead, contact, and person accounts. You can add individual fields to the lead, contact, or person account page layouts. Best practice is rename these fields to something more meaningful, like managed data privacy. Change lead, contact, person account data does not automatically update their privacy data or changing the lead. So I'll be honest, I have not seen this on an exam. They say that it's a topic we need to know. I don't honestly know a whole lot about this. Has any of you guys ever worked with the data privacy piece? Nope. Okay. We'll hope that it doesn't show up on our exam. And I think that was the last slide I had then on that one. What I wanted to show you real quick in Salesforce, just so that you can kind of get an idea on some of this setup. So we'll do a quick demo here. Company information. Sometimes it's helpful just to see it. And so you've got your business hours here. You've got your company information, which if I click into that, and I wait. I don't know why that's waiting that long. All right. Yay. Not sure why that's taking that long to come up, or why, but I was going to show you that's where your default field settings are for the currency, language. There was a third one. What was the third one? Do you remember? Currency, language. Oh, time zone, wasn't it?
Time zone.
There's the data privacy piece is sitting here as well. So that piece is available to your fiscal year. And this is that custom one that if you enable it, you can't disable it, but that's for the really unique, odd fiscal years. Your holidays is simply a list. You can add those in. Your language settings. So there's a list of all the different languages that you can use. And
are things like holidays importable?
Yes, you could import those. I believe that does have a API behind the scenes that you could import that into. Yep. So that's really your company settings. And one of the things I wanted to do at the beginning of our meeting that I forgot to do is have you guys introduce yourselves to each other. So before I go into the next one, let's kind of go around the room here and tell me, obviously your name's on the screen, we can see that, but introduce yourself, your name. If you're working for somebody, what company are you working with? What have you attempted to take the exam? That would be good to know. I'd be curious how many of you have tried it. And then just what kind of your general experience with the platform. I'm going to just call on you and let you guys go. So I'm going to start with Bethany. You're the first one on my list.
Okay. Hi, I'm Bethany Hopper. I actually work for Homesteaders Life, and I think there's multiple people in here that work for Homesteaders.
Okay.
Really, I've been on the team working with Salesforce for I think about a year. I have not studied for and or taken the exam at all. And my experience is really just basically our org and just poking around and trying to, resolve some production issues. And that's really about it. So,
okay, good. Aaron.
Hello there. My name is Aaron Martin. I'm a program performance analyst at Homesteaders Life Company. Like Bethany had just mentioned, we got a nice squad here today.
Yeah.
I have not tried to take the Salesforce certification admin test. I'm just trying to improve my skill set with it because we're supporting a Salesforce product, and I do a lot of work with the customer facing as well as measuring inside Salesforce how it's being used and that sort of thing. So I want to be able to navigate it and know what levers to pull when I need to fix something.
Sweet. Very good. Ashley?
I'm Ashley, and I'm the Texan that you
welcome.
were referring to. I work with all of the Homesteaders folks, but I am a consultant to Homesteaders. So I only work there part-time. And then the other part of the time, I work at the Kilpatrick Group, which is, it's kind of a client of Homesteaders, kind of weird. I won't get into the whole relationship deal with how all that works. I have been working inside of Salesforce for almost 10 years, believe it or not.
Long time. So you know this stuff, right?
I do not have my certification. Like I never just kind of went after it. I don't know.
Okay.
So, and all my coworkers at Homestead are taking this. So I was like, you know what? I should do it and go take the exam and get it done.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that is what I'm doing. I also maintain a few side clients as well. So I've probably worked in, I don't know, a few dozen orgs over my career. But definitely some niche things that I don't know. So very anxious to find out some of those niche pieces of Salesforce that I expect will be on the exam and get some clarity about those. So
super. Well, it sounds like you have a lot of experience with the product. So
yeah, I love Salesforce. Some people are like, "So do you work for Salesforce because you talk so much about it?" And it's like, I'm just part of the cult.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah. Let's see, Aaron. We already did you. Let's go to, I think my list has changed orders because we've got Bethany. Is it Brock? Did I say that right? All right, go ahead.
Yeah, Brock. So I work with Come and Go, and I saw the Super Bowl ad yesterday or Sunday.
Yes, right.
Of course, I'm like, I need to do this. Yeah, so I work with Come and Go currently, and just trying to expand my horizons. And working from home allows me to take classes over lunch. So
yeah,
I'm going to do that.
I don't remember. Does Come and Go use Salesforce? Do they have it?
In the larger Kraus group that owns Come and Go, the family that owns Come and Go, there apparently is some Salesforce going on. I haven't been privy to it, but I know their Salesforce rep reaches out to me occasionally wanting me to put my business into Salesforce. So, but what I do at Come and Go doesn't really require Salesforce integration. So we're good.
Okay, cool. Very good. And the order does definitely change on me. Kevin.
Yes. I work for American Equity Life Insurance, R2D2 building, if you're wanting to know. I actually am permanent from home. I do work with Salesforce on a daily basis. I've been working in our instance for almost 4 years now. I have tried to take the exam previously. It is my arch nemesis. So
how long ago was it, Kevin, that you tried it last?
Oh my gosh, 2019, May 2019. So, and that was back on Classic, and I believe now they're doing it.
It's been changed. Yeah, I don't believe we have any Classic related questions anymore.
Excellent.
I'm pretty certain with the last rewrite that it's all now Lightning.
Excellent. So figured I would get back into it and join the class, and hopefully I could pass it this time.
I think you're going to pass this time. I believe you will. Reggie.
Hello, I'm Reg Holt. I live in Ankeny, Iowa, and a local business owner, and have not tried to take the test. We are in the middle of a fairly large implementation across multiple businesses, and I have a father-in-law that's a systems architect who's been in Salesforce for 20 years. So I got to do what he's been a systems architect for 20 years and been promoting Salesforce since 2010. And I got to catch up at some point because we're about it for the last 10 years. And we're just, like I say, in the middle of implementing into 4 of our organizations. So I'm looking forward to this class and learning everything I can as quickly as we can to catch up.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, your brother-in-law could teach this class, I'm sure, as well. All right. Spencer.
I'm Spencer Bailey. I'm an application developer over at Homesteaders with the rest of the folks here.
Okay.
I don't really have a whole lot of experience with Salesforce other than a few debug and prod issues in our Salesforce instance, and then a bit of exposure to Lightning and web components.
Okay.
I haven't tried to take the exam yet, but I'm hoping to just get a better overall understanding of Salesforce just so I can work better in it when I need to.
And so do you do mostly dev work then?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Very good. It's nice to bring in that perspective as well into a group like this. So that's awesome. Robbie, I think you're the only one left, I think.
Yep. Good to see you again, Terry. It's been a couple of years for us.
It has.
I knew Terry, what was that, 3 years ago? 3 or 4 years ago?
I'm sure it's been at least that, yes. Yeah.
So that was my first experience with Salesforce, was at DMACC when Terry and I worked together. And I've been involved in 2 different orgs since then as a data analyst. And especially with our group here at Homesteaders, the org that we're building out, I just kind of, from my perspective on the data side, just really want to understand the ins and outs of everything within Salesforce. So I figured it would be a good idea to get certified. But I've never taken the test, so hoping this will get me down that path so I can get certified.
Yeah.
So.
Well, as we get going, as we get a little closer to the end, I'm going to be encouraging you to take the exam or get it scheduled. You do not have to take the exam. I hope that you will. But none of you, it's not a requirement that you take the exam. I would say it's in your interest if you're taking the time to do this class to go ahead and sit for the exam. This sounds kind of bragging, and I don't mean it to, but I want to say the last time I took a group through this class, our success rate on the very first time they took it was at the 80%-ish type level. I mean, it was ridiculously high. So I think if you apply yourself and study along with us, I think you'll find that you'll have a much easier time getting through that exam. They're not easy for sure. So cool. Very good. Thank you for sharing that. Hey, everyone. I just wanted to interrupt briefly to again say thank you to our sponsor, the Des Moines Area Community College. Here locally, we call them DMACC, dmac.edu. If you are interested in any form of education, continuing ed, please check out their website. We are working closely together to get some Salesforce specific training put together. So check that out if you're interested in learning more and having a classroom style training for Salesforce. Thanks again to the wonderful folks at DMACC. I'm going to go to our next presentation, which is actually longer than the other one. So I'm going to probably try to go through it fast because we've only got 15 minutes and then we'll get you back to your normal day. And let me share again. And it was the slideshow button, right? That's what I hit. All right. UI features. I will tell you, this one kind of took me a little bit of time. I had to go figure some of this one out myself. I didn't know it as well as a lot of what I had originally was classic stuff, and I had to go figure out what works in the Lightning side versus classic, because some of the stuff is a little bit interesting. There is a user interface setting in Salesforce. If you go to setup and you go to user interface, it's a whole series of checkboxes down the side of the page. And best I can tell, as I played around with some of that, there's only a handful of those that are Lightning specific. So I think we can save ourselves a little bit of energy by just understanding collapsible sections are in there. Your printable list views are there. Enabling the name setting. So if you needed to use middle name or name suffixes, that's in this user interface. And then local names was something brand new to me. I didn't realize that this was even a thing, but it's similar. It looked to me like it was similar to language translation. So if first name isn't called first name in another country, then it translates your names effectively for your language. That's kind of the best I can't imagine that's going to be on an exam, but it's there. Enabling audit fields for record creation. This one I could see very easily being on an exam. Enabling the audit fields or setting that to true. When you are inserting data into Salesforce, it allows you to then set the created date or the last modified date. If that is turned off, which it is off by default, then it is going to take today's date and time and plug those in for your current modified or create and modified. Updating records with inactive owners. That's a part of the same permission or the same checkbox, which I thought was a little bit weird. But updating record owners or updating records with inactive owners. So let's say I own a record and I quit a week ago and I'm deactivated in the org. Robbie goes in and he tries to edit a record that I own. Robbie would get an error saying you have to change the owner because I'm no longer an active member. Allows users to update records owned by inactive users. That's what I just said. So that's redundant. Yeah, a lot of options. Many of them are classic related. Search settings is another one of the UI pieces. Configuring the search settings is in your object manager. So when you go into your object manager, it's down here under search settings. And what you see here in the list is a list of all of the different profiles that you have in your org. And so you can have your search options be profile specific. That might be important to know. Most of the time, and I would bet it's true in probably all of your orgs, you're probably just leveraging the default. So everybody gets the same result from their with the fields that are displayed when they do search. Einstein search settings. So set up Einstein search and settings. There is personalization. Users see personalized search results based on their profiles and how they interact with Salesforce. I tell clients that basically search is intelligent and it watches what you're doing and it determines based off of the types of records that you generally look at, what it will surface to the top. So that's what it's referring to here with personalization. And the natural language, I've not ever tried this one before, but it kind of caught my eye. You can actually type in your search in the global search up at the top, my open opportunities or cases closed last week. Have any of you ever tried that? I didn't even realize we could do it. I thought, well, that's kind of cool. I'm going to have to play with that. Or one of you play with it real quick and see if it works. I'd be curious. Actionable instant results are recommended and recommended results. Start typing the global search and you'll see your records will begin to preview automatically. That's a setting that you can enable and disable. Your app manager. That's the place you go for managing apps in Lightning Experience. Shows all of your connected apps and Salesforce apps. I would probably recommend that you know what happens inside of that Manage app. What are the pieces that are available to you? So you can name the app, just add a description. Your branding is in there. The navigation style, whether it's standard or console, if it's specific to a desktop, phone, or both. If you allow them to personalize it, meaning you give them the ability to add additional tabs to the tabs that show up. That's your personalization. Your utility bar at the bottom of the screen is managed inside the App Manager, as well as navigation items just means the tabs. And then they can be profile specific. So you can have apps that are assigned to specific profiles. Types of navigation items, they include your standard object, custom objects, Visualforce tabs, Lightning component tabs, Canvas apps via Visualforce, and then web tabs. So if you can make a tab out of it, it's basically available. Connected apps, it's simply a framework for external applications. Simplifies things like your single sign-on, your OAuth type connections. I doubt that you're going to get too deep into what this is. I think from an exam standpoint, it's mostly going to be when do you need a connected app? It's probably going to be the scenario that they would leverage. So some use cases there would be external applications that are connected to Salesforce's API. You're integrating with other service providers. You're needing to set security policies to control data from a third-party app, and then providing authorization for an external API gateway. That stuff's pretty darn technical that I just don't see it on this particular exam. List views. That is allows you to do inline editing for list views. Not all fields on a record can be, not all fields on records in a list view can be edited inline. And you've probably seen that if you've been in Salesforce very long, that there are times when you can edit some fields in your list views and others you can't. Creating a custom list views, you need read permission on the object in order to do that. And the ability to create and customize list view permission. So if you wanted to give people that ability, they have to have read access to the object, and they need to have this specific permission added to their profile or permission set. Creating or editing, deleting public list views, you need to have manage public list view permission. So if you got a question where it says something like, as a customer service representative, I'm not able to create a list view. And you might get a series of why. This would be the reason why. This would be the first place to go look. Do they have managed public? But actually, to create it, it would be this one here, the read permission and then create. Global actions. They add quick actions to almost any page that supports them. Global actions would include things like the new task, the new event, the email, all of those types of things that sit typically in the right-hand column of your Salesforce page. If you're on an object, they let you create tasks. Log a phone call is another one. You can also have them underneath the plus sign that's at the very top of your page. So if you click on that plus, you'll see a list of global actions that are available based off of the global publisher layout. It has to be in that global publisher layout for that to show up. Lightning App Builder. This is a little wordy and you probably have to go back and read this later, but what it is, graphical interface for creating custom Lightning pages. So a lot of times when we're editing a Lightning page, we go into the record itself, and then we go up to the gear and we say edit page, and it lets us edit that record page. this is if we went into setup and we went to Lightning App Builder, we can do that same edit from there. What's going to happen when we go in here, it's going to ask us what type of page do you want to create? And you're going to have, I don't know if I have it on here. It's going to present for you your record pages, a home page, and then I think it's an app page is the other option. So you could actually technically create your record pages by going through this process. It's the same concept. It's just a different way of getting there. And then you have the 3 different types that you can do there as well. Yeah, there they are. There's your home page. Home pages are created through that method. And then your record pages we talked about. That's one you're most familiar with, most likely. And then app pages. And I did it. I got through it in 10, 12 minutes, something like that.